Welcome back, everyone, to the topic of the week, part 2 for cocaine addiction. So I put this into 2 parts because I feel these long videos get a bit tedious and a lot of us don't have, a very focused mind if you are using at this moment in time. So we covered in our first video some of the beliefs, some of the first initial beliefs that got us to use in the first place. That was not enoughness, not worthy, I'm not important. That is the first wound. Then this develops, right? This addiction changes. We use for different reasons. It's not always like, I want to numb myself, I want to get away from myself, I will take cocaine. No, it's not. Sometimes there is actually nothing going on. You're just doing the same thing. Just as when you wake up in the morning, you wake up and you have your routine. It's a subconscious planning. It's already there. I wake up, I drag myself out of bed, and I do this and this and this. If you have done the same thing over and over again, I get out of bed, I wake up, or I'm still up, I go and take a line of cocaine, and then I go and find some more. That is your routine that is programmed subconsciously in your brain, in your mind. That is a habit that needs to be broken, right? But sometimes we try and find out, or people ask us these reasons like, why are you doing it right now? You seem so happy. And there is another story that I wanted to share. I remember when I came out of rehab and I was so happy and I had a great job and I was part of the NA and AA, which I stopped going to. And I'll explain why. And I don't want to, talk negatively. There are just a few things that I think could have been improved. That's just from my perspective. And I was driving from an NA meeting. I felt so loved and held by everyone. And I was so happy listening to this new song that I'd never heard before. And I just drove myself to the drug dealer's house. There was nothing. There was nothing that triggered me in that moment. I felt so good and confident. I had money. There was everything there. And sometimes something gets triggered subconsciously that you consciously aren't even aware of. We need to find out what that is. What is it that's keeping you stuck in this negative habit? So when I work with clients that use cocaine when they are addicted, it isn't just a simple, let's do one session and you're healed. No, because this is very, very deep. And what I do actually recommend is going to rehab, because you need to put yourself away from this habit, right? It's so deeply ingrained that you're going to really have to be so determined and disciplined to be able to break that. And hypnotherapy is amazing. RTT is truly mind-blowing. But sometimes I do think that it is vital that we put ourselves into a place. Stay with your parents. Tell them, lock the key. You leave me in that room. You feed me 2 or 3 times a day, and that's it. I know that sounds harsh, but that's sometimes what we need. Obviously, don't do that. Do whatever feels right, but sometimes we need to be locked away in rehab or somewhere where we cannot use, so we get out of that habit, especially for 3 weeks, because that's how long it takes to ingrain a new belief and a new habit. What are some of the other reasons when we've already started to become this addict and using every single day? It's not always about, I want to numb myself, I don't feel good enough, I want to feel joy and a spark, or whatever it may be. Now that we've used for a certain amount of time, there's so much guilt. So much guilt. I've abandoned my son, I used in my pregnancy, I beat someone up, I stole this, I did this, I hurt this person. That's a lot of guilt weighing someone down. It's painful because we cannot accept ourselves for who we are. We hate ourselves. And because we hate ourselves, there's no self-love or self-care. And there we go. Ooh, here's the loop. If I don't love myself, if I detest myself from my actions, I'm going to do everything possible to not look after myself. And then when you started using, you obviously feel the guilt again and you make the same mistakes, and then that vicious cycle continues. Guilt is a big cause for why we continue to stay stuck in this habit. And it's made me very emotional. It's horrible. It's a horrible drug, and I empathize with you. It's very painful. And the guilt, we can remove that, because what you need to do is to forgive yourself. It took me a long time to forgive myself. And now, there's still occasional people, family members, or even my son, who may try and guilt trip me. And I don't allow it anymore, because at one point, you have done everything, when you're clean, right? You've done everything possible to not just make up for it, because you don't want to let go of some of these boundaries, right? You don't want to get clean and then be like, I have to people please and I have to make up for all my shitty actions. Yes, of course, partially, but you also need to learn to value yourself, to get self-worth. Can't allow people to take advantage of you just because you hurt them in the past and they feel it's okay that you need to make up for it now and use you. That's not okay either. You are a human being. Bad things happen to you. This is the way that you coped. This is just a fact. Don't make this into your story, the victim mindset of, I got abused, I was raped, my dad neglected me, my mother hit me. These are all horrible things, but that doesn't define you. And this was my issue with NA, AA, that you define yourself as, I am an alcoholic, my name is Nelia, and I'm a recovering cocaine, and I'm an addict. No, you are not. You are not that identity. What you are is a beautiful soul who fell into some negative habits, but you can bring yourself out because you were born complete, right? You were born. Would you come out the womb taking a line of cocaine? No, you didn't. This was all ingrained, which means we can undo all of this, but it takes guts and it takes courage and it takes balls. So that's what we have to do. So I mentioned guilt. Guilt is a big one, and the biggest person you need to forgive is yourself. And one of the things that I did was mirror work. And that's very, very hard because, and actually allowing yourself to cry, crying, that pain, the guilt stays in your physical body. It causes us stomach ulcers, we get stomach pains, we get chest cramps, we get all these physical conditions, backache, not feeling supported, feeling unsupported financially or emotionally. We get so many pains because we're holding on to these emotions. It's a long road to full recovery, right? But there is a way. There is a way and there is a solution, and I would love to be able to help you. So not only is it guilt, but it's an inauthenticity, right? We put up this front. I'm so strong. Yeah, I'm powerful. I can do anything. But when in reality, we just think we're weak little nothings. That's how we see ourselves. And then we believe that the cocaine is going to make us feel invincible and strong and powerful, especially with, actually, I don't just want to say especially with men, but it is more the men, because the men are told you cannot be weak, you cannot be vulnerable, you have to be strong. But then also I remember I was told that, weakness is, or I wasn't told necessarily, but this is how I thought I needed to behave, that I had to be able to do anything. I had to be able to do everything. I'd go on roller coasters, even though I hated them, and I'd prove everyone wrong. I always wanted to be the best, proving to everyone and every guy and every woman that I was the strongest, the smartest, the most athletic, and so on. And it was an impossible task. And why was I trying to prove that? Who was I trying to prove it to? I was trying to prove it to everyone around me. When in reality, I just didn't feel like I was ever able to live up to anyone else, feeling like I'm not good enough anyway. And that's why you constantly try to prove and confirm that you are enough, but you just, because subconsciously, you deep down, you don't believe it, you're never going to get that outcome. unless you change that subconscious programming to the opposite, that you have remembered that you came onto this planet whole, complete, and more than enough in every single way. That you're, I was going to say drawing a line, and I don't think we should use that that metaphor or that whatever you call it. We should end these old beliefs. But I know that it's not that simple, and it sounds very easy, like, oh yes, just change your subconscious programming and you'll never be an addict again. No, it will affect you, probably for the rest of your life, but at least you'll be clean, right? At least you will be powerful. And one thing, if I'm ever, and it happens rarely, but if I'm ever feeling weak, or if I'm ever feeling vulnerable to an extent that I have a thought of using, I will share it with someone. And that's the great thing about NA and AA, is that you can share. Because the moment you think about it and you don't speak about it, you have emotionally relapsed. And that relapse, that actual one, will come. You need to be aware of it. You need to get ahead of the game. Share it with someone, maybe who doesn't even know you, or share it with someone, because family members, they've been through a lot with you, right? And they find it very, very hard to be able, it's hard with their reaction, right? You might be scared that they're going to judge you, push you away. You don't know what they're going to do with that information. So I wanted to speak also to the family members. If you have someone in your family who is using, and that person comes to you and says, I have relapsed, you can show love in a very firm way, but you need to be very careful how you say it, because if that person has shared it with you, they have shared, they're putting everything in that information, that they're giving you all their trust, that they've told you that they've relapsed. It takes massive amounts of courage and trust to be able to share that, because actually sharing it with someone means that you want to stop, right? Otherwise you wouldn't share it. If you kept it to yourself, then you would secretly want to continue using. So just have that in mind. If you do know someone, a friend, family member who has openly told you that they have relapsed and that they need help. I think for now, I am done. Oh yes, I wanted to mention about the mirror work. We need to forgive ourselves, right? So I'd like you to, and it may seem weird in the beginning, but I think it's a very good task. You can also write instead if looking at yourself in a mirror is just too much at this moment in time. I would like you to speak kindly to yourself. I'd like you to say 3 things that you love about yourself every single day. It doesn't matter if you're using right now, if you do a line straight afterwards, there's no judgment, right? But I want you to start learning to love yourself every day a little more. So every day, when you wake up, no matter what your habit is after that, you've woke up or you're still awake or whatever it is, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror or take a piece of paper and write down 3 things that you absolutely love about yourself. Not material things. I have a nice car. I love my Porsche. I love my... No. I'm such a gifted artist. I'm really generous. I am very witty. Things like that. I have a great sense of humor. I'm fucking hilarious. Anything it is, write it down. And if you feel after 3 that there's more to come, allow it to flow. Don't think of, oh, I'm too big-headed, I'm arrogant. No. I don't want you to make a list about anything that you don't like. We're not even going to go there just yet. Only the good things. If you'd like some support, if you'd like to emotionally unburden yourself, if you'd like to begin this journey, bearing in mind that you really need to commit to this and be honest and stick to it, then please go to my website, leliahypnosis.com, and book your free call, and I will do my absolute best to guide you into freedom, and to give you back your power, that actually you're going to take back your power. And something that I was going to mention earlier about what gives me, a kick, what makes me feel good about myself again if I'm having doubts, is I say to myself, I am a fucking warrior. And it's like you want to get pumped, you want to get strong, because we feel weak when we we feel weak. We feel like weak little children. And then we use Coke and then we're like, oh yeah, I'm so powerful. No, you have that strength anyway. You are a warrior. Tell yourself every single day, I am a fucking warrior. You can swear, you cannot, but for me, that F-bomb really helps me out. I do have to say that normally none of my videos have swear words in them, and I'm doing this because for me, I really related when I had counselors and therapists that threw some F-bombs out there. It made me feel good. And so, like, they connected with me, because we do need to be harsh and direct sometimes. All my love, I believe in you, but only if you start to believe in yourself. And I know that you are a warrior and you deserve to be free, you deserve to be happy, you deserve to be loved. All my love.